Hey, Keith Myers here from Susky Air Squadron. Just wanted to do a little update today. Gonna talk about planes and pilots, things like that going on in Pennsylvania, associating with the onslaught of what seems to be stratospheric aerosol injections, aka chemtrails. We're trying to get some attention, doing a new documentary. We're looking to purchase some gear and some other stuff. If you'd like to support us, that's great. But we are here today, proving beyond a reasonable doubt that chemtrails are being sprayed across Pennsylvania. And this coincides with the PA Department of Environmental Protection kind of stealing my research and then deleting it. So let's talk a second here about chemtrails. Everybody's like chemtrails. They're conspiracy theory. That's fine. That's what they've been led to actually, um, you know, just the driven narrative to discredit people talking about them. But it's been going on for quite some time, and people are pigeonholed regarding their views because of terminology that was created a long time ago to basically debunk any kind of critical thinking, that's happening. So I've taken it upon myself to basically figure out how to present to you the world in real time. Some data that I've been collecting that coincides with what's going on here in Pennsylvania. So there's some links below, and feel free to download or peruse, go in, look at all kinds of stuff, do your own research. Some of the other videos explain a little bit more in depth, but today I'm going to be talking a little bit about our skies and what's going on. So you are in a global research project, and whatever you learn, you can use it, and the dump is for free. Um, there's PDFs, there's screenshots, PNGs, basically all kinds of contact and documents for you to check out. So this is what happened. For the last however many years, I've been noticing that something's just not right here in Pennsylvania. So I started taking a lot of pictures. Hummelstown, Middletown, Harrisburg. This is right over the Hershey Med Center. This also is above the Med Center the same day. This one is particularly crazy because look at all these lines here. This is from Palmyra to Harrisburg. This one, this one's right over Fort Indian Town Gap. Now, I grew up close to the Gap, maybe like 2 miles as the crow flies, and I've always known about the military presence there and things. And at one point, I did want to be a pilot back in the day. That never transpired, but I was always interested in the skies and model rockets, kites, helicopters that were flying over there. Harrisburg International Airport was right up the street. So, here's one actually, a picture that's we have aerosols being sprayed at night. Now, if it's just for solar radiation management, there's no sun out, so it doesn't make any sense to be spraying these things at night. So again, let's just touch on the official narrative from the White House about congressionally mandated research for solar radiation modification, which is basically to refract the sun. In this case, using sulfuric acid to spray into the sky. You can see it right here, and that will push the rays out, but they're not taking into consideration that it's insulating the rest of the planet and heat cannot escape. And also the fact that these particulates are aluminum, barium, strontium, all kinds of other stuff. You got to look up a gentleman that I recently got to meet. I really respect him. It's Dane Wigington from geoengineeringwatch.org. And he's really done a lot of research on different kinds of weather modification. Now, today, I'm speaking about the kind that's going on in Pennsylvania. There are definitely other kinds going on throughout. Now, even shows you the research aircraft that they're going to use and the payloads, which is important because it tells you how many tons of this stuff that they can fit on there. So they're talking about tons. Now, this came from the White House right after this report. And they said, well, we're not really going to pursue this kind of research because, we think that we need to just decrease the amount of, carbon emissions that we're putting out there. So this document goes back to 1996, and it's using weather as a force multiplier by the Air Force. And this is actually, this is funny because it's coming up right now. This is, basically reflecting what should happen in the future here, however many years, back, 30 years ago. So in here, we have some interesting documents, got some cool clip art, and it's basically saying, okay, this is what we need to do here. And now we're going to use the weather mod options. And now we're going to employ the weather mod tools, which looks to be airplanes or possibly rockets, to cause an effect. Now, that looks pretty dangerous right there. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. So through my research, I asked the question, is some entity or team of entities spraying particulates in Pennsylvania? And it is unquestionable. There is no way that you can prove to me otherwise that these things are not happening in Pennsylvania for sure, if not other places. So I want to show you a few little pictures that got me interested, and my other videos show everything else. Now, again, with the radiation that I'm talking about, I'm not going to really discuss that today. I'm talking more about particulates and where they come from. So November, this is 3 different days. We've got all kinds of, let's just call them chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injections. And this is the one that really, kind of woke me up, was the Hershey-Newgarden event, which there's different videos that go more into this, and you're happy to view them. Allentown, this one was particularly scary. This is pictured, really doesn't do it justice, but everything was black, completely black in the sky. And the data that goes along with this particular day is crazy. Now, at this point, my other presentations, this is where I went to the DEP and asked them about, things that were going on. Now, they kind of didn't know what to do with my questions. So I took it upon myself to reach out to a gentleman at Penn State who's the head of the meteorological department. And I won't name him in this video, but he was helpful. Him and I, we actually corresponded through some emails, sent him these pictures, and he concluded that, in fact, what I was showing him was coming from planes. So this is just a reference for later on when you watch the other videos. These particulates that are being sprayed are also in conjunction with high levels of electromagnetic radiation, which we can get into in the other one. So let's just talk a little bit about the law in Pennsylvania regarding weather modification. And let's see how it relates to pilots and planes, airports. I'm just kind of talking today. I really don't have an agenda, but I just wanted to touch on this because these are necessary. These 3 things are necessary for these kind of chemtrails to be deployed, or stratospheric aerosol injections, whichever you prefer. Now, because I don't think that they're doing it with drones yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will be in the near future. But the thing is that you need somebody to fly the plane, you need somebody to load the plane, and you need an airport for them to take off and land in. So here's what the Weather Modification Board says about this. And the legislation goes back to 1968. Now, 1968 is interesting because Lyndon Johnson gave a speech about owning the weather, owning the world, that kind of thing. And before that, weather was being modified early as, I think, the patents were, in the 20s or 30s of, the 1900s. So they put together a whole package here, and the penalties are. Okay, this is interesting. Any airplane pilot who flies an airplane with numbers invisible to escape identification under this act shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof, have his license revoked for a period of 5 years. Okay, now I want to address this because right now we have other research people helping us out. This isn't my expertise, but there are other people that are using historical flight patterns on different really cool apps that are tracking these people. And I can see a lot of these people have their call signs off while they're flying. And the flying in their patterns is that of looking like you're mowing a lawn. There's patterns of just doing tight circles, but just basically turning at the very end of a long stretch, coming back, and that kind of thing. Indicative. Now, what's crazy is I have all these dates and I have all these pictures of everything like that. So I've narrowed it down to days and times. And with them actually using these times and dates, they're able to locate the planes that were in the vicinity and possibly, doing these kind of things. Now, I'm not going to show you today which platforms they're using because I don't want to give people, bad actors, a heads up. And I just am going to say, though, that let's go to this part. Any airport owner or operator who boards cloud seeding planes or operates cloud seeder without license should be guilty of misdemeanor and conviction and have the airport permit revoked for 1 year and be sentenced to pay a fine of $10,000. This is going back to 68. Now, that's a lot of money for back then, but I don't care about that. I'm more interested in these places being shut down for a year. That's going to hurt you. That's going to hurt your wallet right there. And I'm quite certain that there are some local airports here in Pennsylvania that are, in fact, harboring this kind of stuff. And I think even some of the pilots even joke about it and kind of brag about it. I've been following this gentleman, Monkey Works, on YouTube, and he's proven like there's all kinds of weather seeding going on all across the nation. And he's even calling them out, Now, here it's a little bit different because I'm not so sure it's just a weather modification program. You're spraying particulates and then they're getting irradiated with, some kind of 12,000 to 13,000 watts per meter squared. Sounds pretty nefarious. You're getting these particulates in your lungs and you're getting, a dose of radiation on top of it. That just doesn't sound like a whole bunch of weather mods to me. It sounds like something way more serious. And I'm not even going to tell you what I think it is because I don't want to start a riot. Anyway, there are all other people that are involved with this stuff also have, stake in this. And people are going to start coming out and blowing the whistle on this, and people are going to be left holding the bag. Now, I'm not saying every pilot is doing this. Maybe he has gear on his plane that maybe it's a national plane. Maybe it's something that he doesn't know it's coming out. So I don't know, but I will say that I've noticed that the planes are getting smaller and they're getting faster, and we're watching them, So I want to bring up this gentleman because he's talking about the Weather Modification Board. This guy, Josh Monahan, I appreciate the fact that he wrote into the Department of Open Records to find out that the Department of Agriculture had given out any cloud seeding permits back in 2018 because he thought maybe that weather was being used to manipulate people coming out to the polls, and it's quite possible. For my research, anything is possible. And so they wrote him back and they just said, hey, look, here it is. It is unlawful to cause or attempt to cause condensation or precipitation of rain, snow, moisture, or other contained in the atmosphere without getting a license from the department. So the requester, he said it did occur. And this is what they wrote him back. They said, however, high rainfall is not sufficient evidence that cloud seeding was occurring. And even if the requester could prove that cloud seeding was ongoing, it would not prove that the department either licensed or fined any entities in connection with that activity. So the law's there and the board is just washing their hands. So they probably figured, like back then, I was told when I called them up that the technology didn't exist. when they wrote the law, so that it was never the board was never really fully activated. Now the law is there, and when we start pulling these things out and proving stuff, people are going to be fined. People are going to lose their license. They are going to go to jail, and because it's crimes against humanity. These pilots don't know what they're spraying, and it's so compartmentalized that how are they out there checking every day that it's just barium or it's aluminum or whatever? They're just dumping it in and they're going, or they have other people. But these are private contractors too, I'm sure. Now let's talk a little bit about the military. Okay, let's talk about the Air Force. Now earlier we showed a slide with the weather modification as a force multiplier. So back in Vietnam, they were definitely soaking the whole country. There was different terminology and names that I don't have time to go into it today, but it's proven that they have done it and before. Now in Pennsylvania here, we have the PA National Guard and we have the PA Air National Guard. I personally know some of these guys that fly planes for the Air National Guard, and they're friends of mine. I've been in their house. I've they're good guys. I don't think that they're complicit, in this thing, because the type of aircraft that they fly, I don't know. I really don't think that they are guys from the 193rd. But that's not saying that these people aren't turning a blind eye to what's going on here, because whoever's doing it, they're doing it right over top of Fort Indian Town Gap, right over top of their own troops. I've seen it. I've taken pictures of it. It's logged. I've talked to people at the National Guard. I'm not going to mention people's names because I know them personally since I was a teenager, but they don't want to talk about it. And some of the congressmen here in Lebanon County, where the PA National Guard is headquartered, the Guard is the largest employer in this county, and they also get, I think, like $96 million from the federal government. I have spoken to a local congressman here, and his staff. Actually, I haven't spoken to him directly, but I've left materials and I've left other thousands of documents with him. He doesn't want to talk about it, and it's his constituents that are paying the price for it, and these troops that are and everybody else here that's getting sprayed every day with these particulates that who knows what it is. So I want to talk to the brass. One of you guys reach out to me. I know who you are. And after everything comes out, and I've given you the opportunity, we're making everything public now. So guess what? My phone should be ringing off the hook. With between you guys, the DEP, the state police, how can we help? What's really going on? Or hey, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, so maybe he should shut up. Let's do that. Let's have a conversation. Why don't you come on and let's do a Q&A in front of everybody and get it out here in the light. Basically, it's unlegislated and there's no consent. There's no oversight. It's just we're just a dumping ground for whatever kind of twisted playground that you guys want to throw on top of us. It's not like sick, twisted human experimentation hasn't taken place before. So let's just say that I'm calling this gain of function for weather, because the kind of stuff that I'm talking about today is not fully, realized, because there's so many different kinds of it. Today, I'm talking about solar radiation management, or that's what they're calling it anyway. But these things are just particulates, and they infiltrate your lungs and tissues and get everything else. This is why we're getting together a new documentary. It's called See Something, Spray Something. Check out the other videos that we did. If you want to throw us some bucks, we're going to get some monitoring equipment to finish up our doc and get the best information we can and get some answers. That's all I can try to do is just do our best to, hang in there and find out what's going on. I really appreciate your time, and thanks again.